untied the tongue. But it wasn't playing for some reason, but it said we were broadcasting. So we're going to give it a shot again and see if the good old YouTube system will likes us today or it is still mad. You see, Steph's not in today. She had some things to do, so you're going to have to listen to me babble through the airwaves going through there as Jess sets us up, who's sitting in the engineering desk today. Sets us up on Facebook Live. Yeah, it looks like we're actually broadcasting on there today. So maybe they're not mad at us for some reason. Of that. So we're going to be rocking and rolling here on Facebook on that. Some breaking news coming in the Michigan elections. That, and also we're going to have Assemblyman Kevin Riley on to update us on the case he and James Gallagher have on that and expand on that, and we will see where that goes as we're waiting for the music to come. Oh. Good thing you didn't have your headphones on. That funky slide guitar music that comes on every Monday through Friday, live at 5. I bet she didn't do Twitch. On Twitch, Facebook, and YouTube, as Stephanie says, hit that like and subscribe button and tune us in on that. And I actually think we are actually broadcasting on YouTube today. So we'll see if that is, because yesterday it showed we were broadcasting, but for some reason it was mad at us and wasn't showing through up on the YouTube channel. But I'm watching my smiling face coming in. Steph's out today, had some stuff to do. She should be back tomorrow on the show for all you Stephanie fans out there, and I know there's a lot of you out there. She should be back tomorrow. So until then, you're going to have to endure my rumblings. Later on, we're going to have Assemblyman Kevin Riley. He, along with Assemblyman James Gallagher of California, Republicans, filed a lawsuit, and Judge Sarah Heckman made her a ruling official of that she is she has declared that his mail-in ballot executive order was unconstitutional, and there may be others, including some of the COVID ones coming through the case pipeline to do that. But we'll explore all that later when Kevin Riley comes on, because he's an attorney and I'm not. So he can get into the legal ramifications of what's going on every day on that. Do that. We're going to cover the French laundry, and it has nothing to do with washing your clothes. Gavin Newsom and his $350 a plate party that he went to that was non-COVID, it violated practically every COVID mandate as there is. Can you say, do as I say, not as I do? That's Gavin Newsom. We'll cover that coming up here in a little bit. Mario Cuomo, I keep saying that his dad was governor before. Andrew Cuomo is now the evil twin governor with Gavin Newsom, as I call them, the evil Siamese twins, because they must have been separated at birth, because they have the same policies. Him killing the ones in the nursing homes, and Janice Dean, who's a Fox weather reporter at a local station, had both of her in-laws die of that and sent in the nursing homes and that. And the 5 or 6 or 10,000 more that have died because of Andrew Cuomo's action of sending nursing home patients back that were COVID positive back into the nursing home, which is almost a death sentence for not only them, but many others, because 98, 99, or whatever, the most percentage, 90%, something like that, 50%, some places 60% are the people who've died of COVID, and probably more if you actually get the percentage of it, that were died in nursing homes, elderly in that case. And we'll cover her plight in a little bit. Joe Biden. You don't think Joe Biden's a crook? We're going to explore his charity that went on from 2017 to 2019 before he jumped in the presidency race. And we'll see how much was collected and how much actually went to the designated charities that he did. But the big breaking news coming up in Michigan, for all y'all that say the voter fraud deal is coming up, and there's nothing to that. Well, in the Detroit news, the biggest city in the state of Michigan, 16 electoral college votes, I believe. Something is going wrong in Wayne County, which is the county which Detroit and the greater Detroit area is. Wayne County, as we've got that, here's the story up there in the Detroit News. Wayne County canvassers deadlock on certifying November 3rd election results. Beth LeBlanc of the Detroit News writes, Wayne County Board canvassers deadlocked 2-2 Tuesday along party lines on whether the county's November 3 election results should be certified, as at least 4 state and federal lawsuits sought to stop the process. The decision came after absentee ballot poll books at 70% of Detroit's 134 absentee counting boards were found to be out of balance without explanation. In August, the canvassers found 72% of Detroit's absentee voting precincts didn't match the number of ballots cast. The imbalances between August and November are not exact comparisons, since August canvassing was based on results from 503 precincts and November's were based on 143 counting boards. The situation in August, earlier imbalances in 2016 were not enough to keep the same board from certifying the results in August and November of 2016. Board Vice Chairman John Kenlock, a Democrat, called the decision by the 2 Republican members reckless and irresponsible. Chairwoman Monica Palmer, a Republican, defended the decision. Based on what I saw and went through the poll books and the canvass, I believe we do not have complete and accurate information in the poll books. The campaign of President Donald J. Trump has been looking to discredit results in Wayne County by questioning how absentee ballots were counted at the TCF Center in Detroit. Democrat President-elect Joe Biden defeated Trump 51-48 in Michigan by 146,000 votes, in unofficial statewide results. I've heard reports, I've not confirmed them yet, but ultimately, let's say in Michigan, the Wayne County vote gets thrown out because it's not certified. Donald J. Trump wins the 16 electoral votes in Michigan. For everyone that said there is no voter fraud going on, or it's very not rampant or this, how do you explain imbalances coming across the board? Many times over many years, we've been questioning this, not only in Riverside County, LA County, across the board, in that for many years, you want to go, and I think it's about in the 2005 and around there, go back and look at all the lawsuits and all that were filed against the Riverside County election officials and that, and they basically had to revamp, revise, and rebuild the whole Riverside County voting system. It was so corrupt. So when you see these counts come in, and you did, Wayne County right now is off the table in Michigan. And if that is the case, right now you would have to call the state of Michigan, and it's the 16 electoral college votes for Donald J. Trump, because he's leading it if you're taking those votes off the table, which they are. If they are not certified, now they can go through a process, and the Republicans control the state legislature, I believe, up in Michigan. They could be the ultimate ones that decide whether to certify the results or not. But as of right now, Wayne County, the biggest county in Detroit, in the Michigan area, which is the greater Detroit area, is off the table. The election is not certified, will not be certified by their policies and that over voter irregularities. So, when we come up with this stuff and you look at it, and again, I want to see from all of the ones, especially those you said, oh, there's no voter fraud going on, there's no nothing, this. Where do you come up with this? This is in Wayne County, in Detroit, Michigan, of that. And their board of electors officials are not certifying the election over glaring irregularities in the vote count, in people being over-registered. We've had Susan Shelley, we'll either have her on tomorrow or Thursday. She's brought this out in here. And I think L.A. County is one of the worst violators. They have 141% voter registration. Now, you tell me how you do that. How many ballots, how do you have, of the people eligible to vote in L.A. County, 141% of the people are registered? That's getting close to that Hugo Chavez 147%, I won the presidency of Venezuela, back when he was on the top side of the grass and was the dictator and ran Venezuela right into the ground. It's been going on for a long time. And it seems like from this Wayne County, Detroit, Michigan area, that some of the claims from the Donald Trump camp, attorneys Rudy Giuliani and Sidney Powell, are maybe have some basis in fact, maybe are credible. Wayne County, which is no Republican bastion of area, in fact, is probably, I would say, the part of the deal is, I would say they're probably a very, very heavily Democratic area on that. So you look at the part of it. I'm trying to look for, as I'm doing that, see if you can find how many registered voters are in Wayne County, Michigan. See if we can get a number on that. I want to see that, and see if we can find the vote total of Wayne County on that, and see what it is on that, because I'd be curious. I know it's got to be a ton. That's probably the biggest area in Michigan by far. You know, I mean, Detroit is one of our biggest cities in the U.S. This is big breaking news that just came across the wires about an hour ago or a couple hours ago, and it's in the Detroit News. And I'm going to roll it up here just for a second on there so you can see that we're not making this up. This is not fake news. There's the title of it in the Detroit News. A Wayne County canvassers deadlock on certifying the November 3 results as you're going through. So you look at that, of that, what can you say? There's been a lot of anomalies going on. The whole thing we're going to have Kevin Riley talking about, because he sued Gavin Newsom, him and James Gallagher, sued Gavin Newsom in court over the mail-in ballots, his executive order, and Judge Susan Heckman, California State Superior Court judge, said they agreed with Kiley and Gallagher that he did not have that authority, and limited him from signing any more unlawful, unconstitutional executive orders. That may have some even more profound ramifications on the election of that. I don't know that Gallagher and Kiley had that in mind when they did this, but we shall see of how it goes in there on that. Did you find anything yet?
Yes.
What have you got?
Registered Michigan voters, 8.1 million.
Registered voters, 8.1 million? Wow. Of that, yeah. You take that out of the equation. I mean, do you see a vote total in Wayne County from Trump and Biden? I want to see what the difference is, if you can find that.
This is the number for the registered voters that this says.
Right. Find to see.
1.4.
1.4 million registered voters. See if you can find a vote in Wayne County, Michigan. And I'm curious to see what the spread was between Trump and Biden, because I think a little less than 146,000. I think they said Biden is overall leading based on the count, and that's counting Wayne County in. If it's less than that, when you come up with the deal, and I've heard reports that if you take Wayne County off the table, Trump wins Michigan. So that could have some profound effects on what's happening in our election. And again, this is a big breaking news, at least for everyone that said there are no credibility or the allegations against Trump are not true, or he's making all this stuff up and all this other stuff. Yeah. Carol and Diane, yes, good evening on that too. We're looking at that, and yeah, comments are not going to be good because Roy's in by himself on that stuff is out. But it's absolutely stunning news that's coming off across the board here, breaking just about an hour ago on that. That was a real shocker. I bet you the Democrats, the Joe Biden supporters, were not anticipating any at all or anything like, hey, there is no deal on that. And yeah, the Neon Love Machine gives it a big woohoo on that going on. I see Brandon is listening on YouTube on that. We have going on that. Neon Love Machine thinks Biden won only 3 states. Well, maybe he won't win that. In an honest count, he might not have won any. Who knows? Reagan was the only one well, he got 49 states and probably won Minnesota, but he didn't contest it because that was Walter Mondale's home state back in '84. But and it didn't make any difference, so he gave him the deal on that. But we're going to run that, and we're going to shift gears a little bit. And if you find that, let me know if you find a deal on that. But here's the whole enchilada of what's going on that. Governor Hairgel, came out earlier in the week. He's attending a dinner for a celebrating birthday party put on by one of the big lobbyists. I think it was Pfizer of that, but whomever it was, big corporate lobbyist. At the French Laundry. The French Laundry is not a place where these average folk go to go to do their laundry. It's not a laundromat in France. It's a very, 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 very high-end restaurant of that $350 a plate dinners going on at the French Valley, French Laundry, excuse me, restaurant. He violated, they're having a birthday party, he walks in, people are drinking, eating the $350 plate, dinner's going on, as you can see. If you want proof of that, there it is up on the screen. $350 a plate. Multiple people that are not related in the same household, tons of them in there, yucking it up, probably drinking like fools in the whole place. And Newsom and his wife walk in there and party hardy. And who knows what else might have been going on and laying up on the tables and stuff. Although, they might have trouble getting that because they banned straws of that. But, take that wherever you will. But whatever was going on in there, he violated every rule. Multiple, 50, 60 people, all of them, not all of them in the same household, all having a good time eating restaurants. But you, average Joe citizen, you must adhere to that. We're canceling Christmas, Thanksgiving, anywhere else in the restaurant. You can't go anywhere. You can't have family over. If you do have somebody over and they go to the bathroom, you got to hire the Fred's janitorial service and come in and sanitize the whole place down and yada 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 yada. We're going to play the video here. This is in the Independent, but this is off the website. Here's Gavin Newsom trying to walk this back.
50th birthday. My wife and I, a friend that I've known for almost 20 years, and a friend that put a lot of time and energy into his 50th birthday. It was in Napa, which was in the orange status, relatively loose compared to some other counties. It was to be an outdoor restaurant, and we started the program started at 4 o'clock. It was one of those early reservations. I got there a little bit late at 4:30. And as soon as I sat down at the larger table, I realized it was a little larger group than I had anticipated. And I made a bad mistake. Instead of sitting down, I should have stood up.
Right there, yeah. He's walking. Every time you have to explain something, 98.7% of the time, you're in deep Bandini. And he goes, oh, well, yeah, I should have walked out, da-da-da. You're the one that signed executive order after executive order after executive order and recommendations, and you've had your mortician galley and all that, the health official, and all this other crap that's been going on. You subjected us. You've been locking us down harder. Practically every county is in the purple, which is the worst deal of that. No, do this, can't do that. COVID's going to kill us all. Yada, yada, yada. And while you're partying hardy at a 350 per plated deal with all your buddies, doing that, doing who knows what. And, was there any of that white stuff that was there any of that stuff that looks kind of like a small snow sitting up there in the tables? I don't know. But it wouldn't surprise me of what's going on was the whole deal. But again, it's the whole thing. Do as I say, not as I do. Put the Gavin Newsom dictator one up there. This is what the whole deal is about. He is going on back and forth. You don't think that you're going to be a slave on the plantation and this is going to be the plantation owner? Look at what's going on. Gavin Newsom's the one that wrote the laws, or in the executive, not wrote the laws, scratch that, that's wrong. I believe, and one of them has been proven, his election one, but I think most all of his executive orders on COVID are unconstitutional, and he had no authority to do them, but he's getting away with it anyway, because the vast majority of us are sitting on our hands. And we're taking it. Hopefully a few citizens will step up. The Gavin Newsom recall got a 120-day extension to get signatures going. And if you like it, if you like the lockdowns and everything else that Gavin's giving you, then almighty, go for it. That's what you're going to get in this whole enchilada. Because he is the one that is dictating this, pulling it 100%. And if you really like it, keep backing Gavin Newsom. Don't back him. Don't say anything of what's going on. But if you think this guy is thoroughly mad, drunk on power, and if Joe Biden happens to get in the presidency, they're going to be emboldened even harder. And that's why I want to do that, because the Siamese twin, Andrew Cuomo, the governor of New York, sent over 6,000, 5,000, 6,000, the number of that, going to, of ones that were in the hospital with COVID, sent them back into the nursing homes. And I don't know what the number is, but the reports are that 5,000 or 6,000 of them died because that was like a death sentence. Because who's the ones, the vast majority have died from this? Those over 65. They're the ones, especially if they're sick, and if you're in a nursing home, you ain't in the best of health. I can guarantee you that. But when you do that, and he did that, and this is Janice Dean. She's a weather reporter for one of the local stations around there for Fox News, and that she's not a political person of that. But as we do that, here's her story. Janice Dean, COVID has devastated my family. Why can't I testify? My story was going to be told by a grieving wife, mother, and daughter-in-law who wants answers of that. This is what's going on our communities. And give me the one on the Gavin, or on the Cuomo's ones with the deal. They are They are going, and this is what it says in that, because she had her mother and father-in-law in their 80s, or very old, let's put it that way, both died of COVID-19 when they were going through this, and they were sentenced to death, basically, in my view, by Andrew Cuomo, by sending them back in the nursing home and that. People coming back in the nursing home, both of them, both of her in-laws caught COVID within a week and died of that. She has been trying to testify, tell her story of that, and here you go of that. She has a heart-wrenching story on that. And like she said, I'm not into politics, don't care about it. Both of my in-laws were Democrats, if you want to go down that rat hole of that, for all of y'all that want to say, well, right-wing conspiracy, Republicans, blah, 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 of that. And here you go. And here's a picture. I wanted to show you the picture. There's her two in-laws with their, in happier times when they were together. Both died within a week in August over this thing. And Andrew Cuomo does not take responsibility to that. And what you're doing is you're killing us all. These are the decisions. You want these guys to make the decisions for you each and every day? You're going to, it's mind-boggling. I mean, absolutely mind-boggling on what's going on. I want to look at that and see if I can find the update of that before we get into the Joe Biden story, which I got on there. Do we have? That's the voter statistics. Do we have a vote on Wayne County? Of the that's what I wanted of that. We're gonna do the Joe Biden story, and hopefully we'll have a. I want to see what the vote total was of Biden versus Trump in Wayne County, Michigan. All y'all Joe Biden supporters, he's upstanding citizen, president-elect, da-da-da-da-da. Here you go, Fox Business. Tax filings reveal Biden cancer charity spent millions on salaries, zero on research. Hear that? Give me the Biden graphic up there on that. Here you go. Here's on a cancer charity started by Joe Biden gave out money to research and spent most of the contributions on staff and salaries, federal filings show. The Biden Cancer Initiative was founded in 2012 by former Vice President and his wife, Jill Biden, to develop and drive implementation of solutions to accelerate progress in cancer prevention, detection, diagnosis, research, and care to reduce disparities in cancer outcome, according to IRS mission statement. It gave out no grants in its first 2 years and spent millions on salaries of former Washington, D.C. aides it hired. The charity took in $4,809,016 in contributions in fiscal years 2017 and 18, as this story updates, and spent $3,070,031 on payroll in those 2 years. The group's president, Gregory Simon, raked in $429,850 just in fiscal year 2018, and according to the charity's most recent filing. Simon's a former Pfizer executive and longtime healthcare lobbyist, headed at the White House Cancer Risk Task Force in the Obama administration, and saw his salary nearly double from $224,000 he made in fiscal 2017 tax returns show.
1 minute.
$4 million they collected in a charity. Zero went to research. You think Joe Biden, you think that's ethical? You think you could get away with that? He used his power and influence of 47 years of elected office in the Senate of the United States, Vice President of the United States, to bilk for almost $5 million, spread it around to that, and what happens in
30 seconds.
And that when he quits the charity in 2019 to run for president, all the funds dry out. But all his cronies and aides had a big salary, and I bet you what? I bet you dimes to donuts they were working.
Here we go.
Biden.
10 seconds. King.com.
OEM Supply King. We got it!
IE Newswire Daily is on the air.
The following is a paid program. Views and claims expressed are those of the program producer and are not endorsed by this station. Opinions expressed are not necessarily those of radio station KMET, its management,
Yes, there you go. There we are. We come on every Monday through Friday. As you hear that funky slide guitar music, comes on every Monday through Friday, live at 5:30 on the Mighty Red, 1490 AM, broadcasting all over the Inland Empire, joining our worldwide audience on the web, on IE Newswire, on Facebook, YouTube, and on that. Going back and forth all across the board on that. And we went through a lot of the stuff, but as we promised, we've got the guy on who filed, along with Assemblyman James Gallagher, we have Kevin Riley, who filed a lawsuit against Gavin Newsom, specifically, if I remember correctly, on his executive order ordering the mail-in ballot going off. They prevailed in court with the great judge, as I'm calling it, Sarah Heckman, in California State Superior Court of that. They won that. We had him on right after the judge's ruling was final a week ago, or a preliminary ruling was that it was. The ruling has been finalized, and now that we have a little more time to go into it, we will get to the nitty-gritty details and what this has for the future of California and maybe the United States. The great assemblyman who won this case along with James Gallagher, Kevin Riley. Welcome to IE Newswire with Roy.
Thank you very much. I appreciate you having me in.
So the Judge Heckman's ruling in your case, as I explained to that, is now final. It's in on that. Just, you know more of the details. Walk our audience through, give them the crib notes of what went on of that and what this potentially means for California.
Sure. Well, it means that California is not an autocracy, which you thought would have been self-evident, but we had to go to court to get that confirmed because Gavin Newsom has actually argued that it is an autocracy. That's not only the way he's acted, that's literally what he's argued in our case. But the judge in Sutter County, Judge Heckman, in a very thoughtful opinion, simply laid out that that's not what the law is, that we still have three branches of government. We still have a legislative branch. The governor cannot simply rule the state by decree just because we have a state of emergency that he has declared, and certainly can't continue to do so for 8 months with no end in sight. So the judge's injunction just restrains him from doing this sort of thing going forward, from acting in an unconstitutional manner that usurps powers that are not rightfully his.
I would say, and correct me if I'm wrong, because you're also, along being assemblyman, you're an attorney outright, and I think both you and James Gallagher are. But I would assume under the California State Constitution, County Board of Electors or whatever, Register of Voters in California, they are the ones that have the authority to make law and carry out any of these edicts. The governor probably doesn't really have any authority to do anything. And I would think that would probably have been one of the main arguments against Gavin Newsom issuing this executive order, which has been determined in court unconstitutional. Kevin.
Well, that's exactly right. Yeah, I mean, the governor does not have the ability to make law. That's sort of fundamental to our entire system of government. And it's why this particular order was invalidated and unconstitutional. And it's why dozens of the other orders that he's issued are legally suspect. In fact, in his appeal, which he's just rushed into the appeals court and dropped yesterday, 63 pages and 4 volumes of appendices, trying to get this stopped. He says this is going to threaten dozens of his orders, and it's going to call into question vast swaths of the state's COVID-19 response. And the reason that actually he is right about that is because vast swaths of the state's COVID-19 response have been unconstitutional. Dozens of executive actions have been unconstitutional. That's the whole point.
Yes, and that's what I say. I mean, this is the first domino in the falling, and like I said, I think it's the first outcome we've had in a case in California, if not nationwide, in this whole thing that's really put the brakes on a COVID executive order that, not only Newsom but other governors have been using of this. Going across the board. And like you said, if this is unconstitutional, I think Judge Hagman very eloquently pointed out, as you did, this has far more reaching consequences to some of the, as it appears, and I'm sure it can be made a good argument in court and hopefully will prevail, that a lot of these COVID executive orders and many more are unconstitutional under California, United States, or whatever law.
Absolutely. And we have already prepared a list of all of them that we believe to be unconstitutional for the same reason and subject to the terms of the injunction. And, even more significantly, the orders related to the lockdown, I believe, are vulnerable for the same reason. In fact, there is a legal challenge right now by the Pacific Legal Foundation that is directly challenging the governor's whole color-coded blueprint scheme using the exact legal theory and precedent from our case. That violates the separation of powers as well, because the governor is making policy as far as who can stay open and who can stay closed and what restrictions exist on his own. He's doing it in an autocratic fashion, when in fact our Constitution provides that such decisions and such policies are to be formulated through a legislative process, a representative process that the public has access to, and not simply fiated by him as he wills.
Again, I mean, and I'm very glad to hear about the Pacific Legal Foundation's case of going on, because I think all of Southern SoCal and now 41 counties out of the 58 in California, and it's been largely suggested by Newsom, and as I call him, the mortician, the health official, Dr. Galley up there that does that, has hinted there practically every county in California is going to go in back to the most restrictive part of this. And I mean, this cannot stand if we're going to have any semblance of a state of California that you can not just live in, but actually survive in.
Well, that's exactly right. And, we see what the governor did yesterday, putting this so-called emergency brake on and putting, 95% or something of the state into the so-called purple category, which what does that even mean? It's some arbitrary category with an arbitrary restrictions based on arbitrary metrics that he and he alone has come up with without any evidence that this actually is going to have any positive ramifications as far as public health is concerned, and certainly no effort to weigh that against the immense, just incalculable costs of continuing to close down communities, close down businesses, close down schools. We actually have tried to, in our region, I represent a district in Northern California, we brought together leaders from 15 counties and actually looked at the data and looked at, okay, where is transmission occurring? And it is completely unrelated to the restrictions that are being forced upon those counties by the state. So for, a governor who sort of supposedly claims to be basing his decisions on data, as a matter of fact, his decisions are not only unrelated to the data, but fly in the face of the data, especially when it comes to schools, where all of the evidence says our schools should be open. Everyone should have in-person instruction, at least has that option right now. But instead, we remain, I believe, one of 7 states in the entire country with a school closure order, one of 3 states that has no youth sports right now. I mean, and you name it. You go to the bowling. I was just talking to the Bowling Association. We're the only state in the country that is allowing bowling right now. I mean,
wow.
6 feet apart, yet we can't do bowling. So it's just crazy how unscientific and far removed from any sort of, evidence or data the governor's policies truly are.
I want to get back to the nuts and bolts of the case on that, and I think you cited a Michigan case that had been ruled on before you, and that was part of your impetus and maybe a part of why you were victorious in court. Can you explain the Michigan case you cited or used as a precedence when you filed your case?
Yeah, absolutely. So Michigan, not long before the trial in our case, had its Supreme Court actually declare that state's Emergency Powers of the Governor Act to be unconstitutional, which is a law that is similar in many ways to the law at issue in our case, the Emergency Services Act. So the result of that was to actually immediately terminate that state of emergency and all of the governor's emergency orders. That was a possible outcome in our case as well, although we always viewed that as sort of a long shot because we believe that California's Emergency Services Act is not as broad as Michigan's, but Gavin Newsom has acted like it is as broad as Michigan's. So our primary argument was that he had actually has been exceeding what the Emergency Services Act itself allows. So it's his actions that therefore have no basis in any law and are unconstitutional. Now that the case is going up on appeal, I think that the argument that the whole statute is unconstitutional could potentially be a bigger part of the argument. And so if that, in fact, is the outcome of the case, then that would have even more significant consequences.
It's a big deal, and why I mention that is, along with the Michigan case, there's just been some breaking news within the last hour or so that Wayne County, which is the greater Detroit area, is not certifying the election results. And as the numbers I have, if that is the case, it switches the state from Joe Biden to Donald J. Trump. So we'll follow, that's obviously a breaking story, and we'll follow all the ramifications of that. But what I want to do is your order specifically constituted that the mail-in ballot thing in all of California is unconstitutional, and that was his. Now, I just want to, just as a legal theory on that of the state of California, would it be possible, or to make a legal argument, that the election in California results are based on illegal, unconstitutional ballots, and you could throw out the whole vote of California?
Well, I know some people might like to see that, but that probably wouldn't work just because in this particular case, the legislature did later pass a bill dealing with the mail ballot issue. So on that particular element of the order, there was eventually a basis in law for it. Now, maybe you could argue that because it was the governor's executive order that sort of got the process moving, that there's something to that. But even the terms of the judge's decision did not purport to have any impact on the conduct of this election. So I think that, as far as that particular issue is concerned, that's probably not where the effect of the decision is going to be most significant. What's most significant is going forward that the injunction would prevent Governor Newsom from doing anything like that again.
I mentioned that because I heard some of the, in the news reports that was mentioned, but your case was mentioned in that as not that they were following it, but it was brought up, and that's why it pays to get the guys on that really know what they're talking about, and actually filed the case in the attorneys, so we can deal with facts and honestly about what's going on in there. So when it comes up, we out here in the media can actually speak with some knowledge of going on and doing that. But I will agree with you, and I think this is very important. And it just showed, like you said, the humongous War and Peace novel that Newsom filed as a appeal to the case that you won. I think that's just indicative. I talk about Philadelphia and New York lawyers. You can imagine how many of them, like you said, are you spout the numbers of how many references and this and that. They're taking your case, I think, very, very, very seriously.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that's clear from the language they use in this appeal, that he thinks it calls into question vast swaths of the state's COVID-19 emergency response and threatens dozens of his orders. I mean, I've never seen the Attorney General's office put together a filing like this. They must have worked the whole weekend and had every single one of those 1,000 attorneys, working on churning this thing out. I mean, it's just clear to me that, the governor is simply unwilling to accept any limits on his power. And that's why we filed this lawsuit in the first place, is that we're not supposed to have so much power in the hands of one person. And, I think that the outcome here is really important, not only for, trying to get our state on a better course in terms of having a functioning economy and giving people their basic rights, but in terms of vindicating our entire system of government, because we've had an autocracy for 8 months with no end in sight, and at some point that is putting real stress on our civic institutions, on our habits of self-government, on the very constitutional system that has served our country so well for 230 years, where we have representation and we have democracy and all of these things that Gavin Newsom has just thrown by the wayside. So it's my hope that we can start to turn some of that around with this decision.
It is, and I want to thank, there's guys like Riverside County Supervisor Jeff Hewitt, Orange County Supervisor Don Wagner, Pacific Legal Foundation, and Kevin Riley and James Gallagher, who kicked this whole thing off on that are fighting for us in California and do that. And keep up the great work. I hope you keep us updated on what's going on, because man, the ramifications of this are far-reaching. I think even beyond California, if we can get some more successful court victories and start returning California and maybe the nation prior to where it was in March of 2020. I'll give you 30 seconds to wrap it up and give you any final thoughts.
Well, just thanks for having me on, and we're going to keep fighting this, and we think that the appeal should go our way. I mean, the facts and the law are on our side here, and if we have to take this to the California Supreme Court, then we will. And we're just hopeful that at the end of the day, the rule of law will prevail, and that maybe this can be a turning point, not just for the nightmare of this year, but for the the long-standing decline of California as a state, and we can start to become again a government, of the people, and stop this, this deterioration of our quality of life that has sent so many people moving elsewhere.
Thank you very much, Assemblymember Kevin Riley, for being on, and we will look for future updates on this and many other cases coming forward. Thanks again.
Terrific. Have a good one.
You got it. That was Assembly Member from Rockin', California, in that up in that area. On that, I'm still getting a beep, and you're not hanging up on that. Of that, thank you. Of that going on back and forth, updating us on the case of that and the significant victory of going up. And I want to talk a little bit because, Don Wagner, Orange County Supervisor, Riverside County Supervisor Jeff Hewitt, and I can't remember the gentleman's name in San Diego, but a few of them others have been really helping in the effort or trying to get this thing turned around going on. And I was at the Riverside County Board of Supervisors meeting today, and I said this, and I mean, you can go back and look at it if you want, but it's really tough to listen to the stories of the people of the devastation, as this is called. And just before I went up to speak, there was a girl probably, I'm going to say 12, 13 years old. And I just happened to be sitting by her when when she was getting ready to speak, and she really didn't want, she was out, as you can imagine, very young teenage girl, or going up to speak in front of this and in front of that, and then she was like, you could tell she didn't want to go, and her mom kind of pushed her, said go to do it, because she really did. And to hear her story of not being desocialized with her friends, not going to schools, as Kevin Riley pointed out, we're only one of 7 states that has schools completely locked down. It's very difficult to listen to that, because even as the emotional aspects of you who do not, or are not experiencing that particular problem yourself, as in me, because a long time I've been out of school, but just to take the guts it took for that girl to go up there and speak. She probably represents tens of thousands of students. There's an old saying, everybody that gets to speak or writes to a public official or something like that, that could be 10, 100, 1,000, 10,000, a million people that could have that same opinion. But it's a lot. Because a lot of people don't want to rock the boat or go up there and speak. And that's what I reiterated to the board, because I would happen to be the next speaker. And I say this from a lot of standpoints. It just, Sometimes you don't know, but things just seem to have a way of working out, or the deck chairs pile up. And that was what my comments to the board were. How could you sit there meeting after meeting and listen to these stories and know that you have the balance of 2.5 million people in Riverside County in your hands? The job you ran for, you are our elected representatives, the 5 of them up there. Manny Perez, Kevin Jeffries, Karen Spiegel, Chuck Washington, and Jeff Hewitt. You're responsible for making those decisions that affect the lives. You're not you are our buffer between the public employees and this. You're supposed to make an arbitrary, independent decision on what's best for everyone, not what's best for a few. Or to go along, or we don't want to challenge Gavin Newsom. I mentioned it, and I mentioned the Kylie Gallagher lawsuit. You have the tools to go out there and work with. And I went up there. I didn't this time, but I've asked Sheriff Chad Bianco, step up. And it just happened to be as I'm walking out. Again, it's kind of like circumstances or what. I'm walking out of the chambers after my public comments, and who's coming out of the upstairs area down the hall? Sheriff Chad Bianco. And I don't know if he saw the comments or what, but he gave me a smile and a thumbs up as he walked by. I don't know what it's going to take. I would hope that Riverside County would join in these lawsuits, file their lawsuit court of action on their own against these orders of Gavin Newsom. There's 3 of you there not wearing masks during the meeting, Karen Spiegel, Jeff Hewitt, and Kevin Jeffries, and that's a majority of the board. Put the policies in place. Direct the staff. Let's get it done. People of Riverside County, State of California, United States of America cannot suffer any longer under this. They're trying to scare us with the new wave coming in, which mostly people are in their 18 to 29 is where the cases are supposedly multiplying. That they're not going to die. It's went through the elderly population, the vulnerable population, and I just... Again, it's like heartbreaking when you're sitting there watching or listening to that. Listening to the stories of real people in real lives, and they're watching their lives going down the drain. I don't know why sometimes you just got to do what you have to do. The board has talked about Manny Perez, Chuck Washington especially. Well, we got to work with the governor, and the governor just keeps putting us in the gulag. Put the dictator edict up there. You're not reasoning with Gavin Newsom. He doesn't care. He can go in and eat $350 a plate dinners with his friends and family and lobbyists and whomever and have a yuck-it-up great time while telling you can't have your family over for Thanksgiving, Christmas, or any other time of that. And if one does happen to show up and has to go to the bathroom so bad they can't hold it in, you have to completely sanitize, hire a janitorial company to come in and completely disinfect your bathroom because you might kill everybody. You're not reasoning with a person like that. There is no... After what, 8 or 9 months of this? What are you expecting different? And we're going backwards. We're not going forward. How much more? I mean, what is it going to take? We need to have honesty. We need to have honesty in our elections. We need to have honesty in our public officials. We do not need presidents of the United States to take $4 million in contributions for cancer research and $0 go to it. That is unethical at best. It might be technically legal, but there is no justification for that at all. And that's all of you that had voted for Joe Biden or support Joe Biden. That's what you are supporting. You are not he is not supporting you. You are supporting him and his policies and the way he has conducted himself. You know, Joe Biden, who's probably ain't made a dime in the private sector, maybe made a dime, but very few of them to amass the critical fortune that he has for him and his family. And as Hunter Biden said, I'm not going to telling, or was quoted in one of the papers, I'm not going to take a 50% cut like Pop did. I wonder who he's referring to as Pop. It's very strange times we're living in 2020, and I hope 2021 is not a repeat of what we went through. I hope some of this stuff turns around. The Wayne County vote in Detroit, Michigan is not certified. When you look at that, all the things going on, maybe things are start breaking their way. We'll be back tomorrow on Wicked Wednesday with Steph, and until then, see ya!
The proceedings